The situation in the South China Sea is worsening. 3 countries in Southeast Asia invaded our country's South China Sea islands and reefs. The Philippines and other countries have revealed the fangs of their traitors one after another. An issue threatening remarks to China, claiming that China dares to occupy Dongsha Island. U.S. military will immediately destroy all Chinese buildings in the South China Sea. This time, China should take countermeasures from 3 aspects. Then countries such as the Philippines really dare destroy buildings in the South China Sea of our country. What countermeasures did China do wrong? And we'll go down. August 28th is China's Surveying and Mapping Law Publicity Day. During this event, China has released a standard map of China in 2023. The most important thing is the latest adjustment in the South China Sea. Change the original 9- line to a 10- line. It more clearly marks the extent of China's territorial waters. Initially, the map released by China is for greater clarity. The scope of China's sovereign territory. But unexpectedly, since it has been occupied by those opposition from China's island states. According to incomplete statistics, China currently has 15 islands in the South China Sea. Illegal occupation and development by other countries. Vietnam accounts for 9 of them. Malaysia accounts for 5. The Philippines accounts for 1. Which cross? However, since the release of the new Chinese map, Malaysia and the Philippines, the first to jump out against. It's even more about biting back at China. The Malaysian Foreign Ministry said, regarding China's unilateral transfer of Sabah, the division of water and Sarawak, China has no legal basis. You know, Malaysia has occupied the islands and reefs in China. Isn't this obviously a thief shouting to catch a thief? Now the arrogant clamor. New map released in China. No legal benefit. This move by Malaysia will really confuse the public. Deducted to the extreme. Secondly, the Philippines. There's no question, the Philippines also wants to default on its debts like Malaysia, and claims that China's actions do not comply with their international law. About this, Philippines and Southeast Asia National Association statement. Call on China to take responsible actions. Comply with the ruling of the so-called South China Sea arbitration. Well known. The so-called South China Sea arbitration is directed and performed by the United States and Western countries. No legal benefit. And the guy behind it is America. The Philippines is the younger brother of the old beauty. America will naturally be paralyzed by him. Marx also expressed to the outside world, we will never compromise with China. That is to say, the Philippines is planning to confront China again to the end. How will our country respond to this? After China announced the new map for 2023, the Philippines used the South China Sea arbitration as an excuse, alleging that China has reversed black and white, and want China to abide by a without legal basis. Arbitration result. It can only be said that Marx has not yet recognized reality. The Philippines will maintain its claim to the boy's sovereignty. Although I know now, the Philippines is yet to take practical action. But, judging from the current behavior of the Philippines, it's obvious the Philippines has chosen to reconnect with the United States. According to relevant reports, during the military exercises of the 3 countries of the United States, Japan, and Austria at that time, choose a plot in the waters of Manila. At that time, the United States wanted to win over the Philippines, but it was rejected by the Philippines. The reason is that his warship, the deck, cannot withstand the daily Olympic military aircraft. However, unexpectedly, after several standoffs between China and Africa, China-Africa relations are also gradually reaching a freezing point. Know where to go in the Philippines. There's only one backer, Lao Mei. So the Philippines wanted to join the military exercise and personally invited to Manila for a military banquet. It seems that the Philippines has carefully considered, finally chose to direct to the United States. August 28th local time. The Philippines successfully remodeled Middle Leaf Island, turning the original land into a runway for fighter jets to take off. This means that the Philippines will continue to enjoy the support of the United States, provoking China in the South China Sea. Sovereignty, however, is not so simple. Because in light of the current situation, behind the three island nations that invaded our country are dominated by old Americans, and the United States is now targeting China. Others may be correct. The Russian what is applied to China because the current White House released the latest news on Biden. He will visit Vietnam on the 10th of this month. The United States undoubtedly wants to cut off China's ties with its neighbors. This will bring down China's development. And the Taiwan authorities have also recently released threatening remarks. If the city dares to make a move in the Dongsha Islands, the U.S. military will intervene as soon as possible, because the current Taiwanese authorities are already in the east. Airport runways were built on the Sand Islands, and hundreds of soldiers were stationed on the island. And the deployment of a large number of anti-ship missiles and defensive weapons. This shows that Lau Mei's emphasis on Dongsha Island. It is precisely because of Dongsha Island. It is the main way for the United States to intervene in the Taiwan Strait conflict. Once the People's Liberation Army succeeds in winning Dongsha Island, the U.S. military cannot seize the opportunity. Timely intervention in the actions of the People's Liberation Army. Therefore, the United States has only recently bluffed in the Taiwan and South China Seas to distract China's attention. But the Chinese side has long known about the conspiracies and tricks of the old U.S. And our country is no longer giving a verbal warning, but directly in the Nanhai Waxia restricted area. It is the preparation for military exercises to force guns to test bombs. China will respond in three directions. After China demarcated a zone in the South China Sea, Guangning Haikeng District immediately released the latest news. Zhangjiangfang will be on August 31st. Conduct poetry bomb exercises in the South China Sea. To avoid unnecessary risks, ships will be banned during the exercise. Entering Chinese waters. The meaning is also very clear. The purpose of China's thunder attack. It's for the Philippines. Wait for an unkind country. This will be strong for the outside world again. Adjust China's territorial sovereignty. Because from the Philippines to the United States, it can be seen in the exercises of the Japanese Olympics. Recently, the Philippine Army has been. The idea of increasing troops in the South China Sea. This move by China, just to get the Philippines to give up the idea of reinforcements. Secondly, Vietnam is also covertly threatening China's sovereignty. According to reports, as the dispute over benevolence between China and Africa subsides, Vietnam has suddenly accelerated the pace of land reclamation. As of August this year, Vietnam hands over the occupied South China Sea islands. There's been a lot of sand blowing. In the past 30 months, Vietnam has added 5 islands. The area is 27,800 square kilometers. As you can see from the picture, Vietnam's current expansion, obviously speeding up the construction. But in the past world, Vietnam only filled up 5,000 square kilometers of land. And in the past 3 years, it actually increased in value by 1.6 square kilometers of land in an instant. Although this island building ability is not as good as China's, but only with a Vietnamese degree, it's impossible to build islands faster. Then the intention is very obvious. With the support of the United States and Western countries behind it. After all, invading our country's islands greater benefits can be obtained. And the purpose of our country's development of Zhuangdi Islands, right here, due to the unique geographical location of the Zhuangdi Islands. Once the Zhuangdi Islands are built, that will lock the throat directly in Vietnam. Therefore, in the current context, the completion of the Zhuangdi Islands was extremely important. After all, the architecture of the Zhuangdi Islands, it has solidified China's claims in the South China Sea and safeguard China's national territorial sovereignty and integrity. One of the most effective will be more complete, improving China's military control capabilities in the South China Sea. This will be more conducive to strategic deployment of China's territorial waters, preserve freedom of navigation, and the international order from the current freedom of navigation proclaimed by the United States. Once completed with the Zhuangdi Islands in China, China has the voice-over, collaborating with old America, negotiations, and other means to resolve disputes in the South China Sea, maintain the stable development of the region. So let's just say that I hope those countries with bad intentions get rid of bad thoughts about our country as soon as possible. After all, on issues related to China's territorial sovereignty, China will not make any concessions. Okay, about that. Regarding the series of actions of the United States in the South China Sea, what do you think? Welcome to the comment area to leave a message for discussion. See you next time.